To be a lawyer, not enough?
Yes, to have a lawyer, it's not enough. You
Okay.
have to have many more competences to be able to be of service.
Hello to everyone. Welcome to our second podcast. I am Gintarė Trukšnytė. I'm Group Chief Compliance Officer at PAYSTRAX. And please let me introduce my guest and colleague today, Vytautai.
Nice to meet you, Gintarė. Thank you for this introduction. Really happy to take part in this interview together with you. And yes, actually, I think we have much more in common than just the colleagues here in PAYSTRAX. Our backgrounds were both lawyers, and I was looking into your information about you in LinkedIn, and I saw that you have a good wealth of experience working for the law firms, for the banks, for the companies. That's impressive, I have to say.
So this will be the main topic for today.
No, but I want to start from it, and maybe what I saw, that it looks like compliance is a thing that you've been doing for a big while already. And maybe you can, I noticed that you have this background of Fordham University School of Law. You were studying corporate compliance.
Correct.
How come? In back like 10 years ago or something like that.
So specific. You have quite a lot of information.
Absolutely. I've been doing my good job.
You did your research.
Yes.
So as you know, I have a legal background. So I worked for many years in law firms and banks as a lawyer. But then around 10 years ago, as you mentioned, I thought, okay, at that time, compliance was like some kind of a trend. But in the beginning, it was like, yeah, we have to comply with the rules and that's it. So for me to understand how the function itself should work efficiently, and to, that the function could create a value to the company, I thought, no, I need to know something more. I like the trend, but I wanted to know more. So this is how I end up in New York City, in your mentioned university, and I got my LLM degree in corporate compliance.
That's amazing. You're like a trailblazer. Back in those 10 years, I think compliance was something like, it didn't sound like very tempting. It didn't sound very not a flamboyant for sure. Like it's like something to be done, not much interaction with people, but this was my bad impression about that long, and this is not anymore, especially when I see how you do the stuff here.
You mentioned that not so much of interaction with the people. What do you mean? That compliance officers, that they don't interact with people?
Maybe, we are like touching another good stereotype. I'm not sure how it is in the world, but in Lithuania there's like in-house lawyer, attorney at law, general counsel, compliance. These seems to be like a different roles for people in the same very similar sphere. Like maybe that's maybe lawyers are quite defensive of their own trade and compliance being something new. Not always enjoys like newcomers' benefits, but maybe that's just a stereotype. And that's it. It is a stereotype, and it's a wrong stereotype. What I want to say.
But do you think that, what is your opinion on the thing that whether each lawyer can be compliance officer and vice versa, whether a compliance officer can become a lawyer? Let's say you have a law firm, so you have lawyers there. So maybe a compliance officer who is working in AML area can work
Absolutely. Absolutely.
without legal background?
Well,
a bit tricky
that's a
question.
bit tricky. It depends what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to go and to represent and take on the liability, there is just like hurdles that you need to pass in order to be able to represent, to be an attorney. That's one thing. But I think those days when the law firms and the legal counseling is just saved for lawyers are already past. You have to have plenty of more competence in order to be able to provide the service. And I think that's also another stereotype or shift in the mindset. Lawyers tend to feel, I can say wrongly feel, that they understand everything. And failing to notice the boundaries of their competence. And I think that's detrimental for the lawyers, and I see this good trend that, what you are asking, AML. It sounds lawyerishly, but there are lots of stuff. There's like different universe of stuff to take into account, and there is no precondition, at least in my mind, that this should be done only by the lawyer. It's nothing like that, in my view. If you understand the subject, the topic, there is no special qualities maybe in person required to just understand that. You have to devote a lot of your time and effort into that, and that may bring results. So I'm actually happy that in today's challenging and regulatory world, lawyers are not enough.
To be a lawyer, not enough?
Yes, to have a lawyer, it's not enough.
Okay.
You have to have many more competences to be able to be of service. After all, we are here to, to help the company, to be of service, to serve the company, to bring something good. How can you bring good if you don't know how to do that? So quite simple, I think. What do you think about? Do you find some or meet question or get questions like how when you are in compliance, are you ceasing to be a lawyer? How do you feel? Can you do you feel like it's a one-way street, or you can migrate to law firm to is it?
Well, I am a lawyer.
Yes.
And I will be a lawyer.
Yes.
So a compliance function doesn't change me, my background. But, currently I'm focusing only on compliance. This is, for me, it's interesting area, compliance function, not itself as a compliance, but how to build the function, as I mentioned. Yeah. I'm also focusing on my team. So some team members, they do have a legal background. Some of them don't have it.
Yeah.
But I think the synergy is a perfect in my team. So yeah, I think I can go back to law firms, but
easily, I think they would be happy to.
Thank you, Vytautas. But I think at the moment, compliance function and financial institutions, this is the main focus for me currently, because it's interesting. It's very interesting, by the way, to work in one company and to provide like a service to one company. And why I'm saying service.
Yes.
So my role, I'm always looking into my role as providing a high quality service to the company. I think each employee should look into this like this. From service perspective, that you're providing service. That is a bit different than just thinking about, you are just having some kind of a function in the company.
I absolutely share your view. In my view, it doesn't matter much whether it's an employment agreement, whether it's a service agreement. At the core of what you do, as you mentioned, is a serve. It's to serve. It's a service.
Yeah.
And you have to exercise proper duty of care to make sure that your service is like at the certain level. And I just agree with that, you know. It's wonderful, and I think it's not easy to fake it, actually. Care and what you do and the true service. It's not, you know, you have to like it. You have to have maybe other qualities in you to make sure that it's not only you that you feel the care. The people you work for, the company you work for, they feel care as well. But what you mentioned, you know, you stressed that working for one company, and obviously I'm not working
You're
for
not,
one.
yeah.
Yes, and when choosing to work for whom to work for, I usually, you know, it's the way how you choose friends. There's no big difference, you know. If life is so generous that allows options and choices, so to choose a client like a friend, in my view, it's a very good policy. And I would say that PAYSTRAX is best friend.
Oh.
I like working for PAYSTRAX, and it's brings a lot of joy. It brings a lot of challenges, but nevertheless, it's like, you know, your life is somewhat like, you know, you are building some sort of web of trust around yourself to feel at peace or to feel comfortable, integrated with people. So there are the friends that rely on the council. There are other colleagues that I have commitments to. So it's not. It's never an easy choice to cut all ties or not cut all, to change ways and to stay with one company and to advise the only one company and lose not lose but just, you know, yeah, it's somewhat lose the other connections you have. So I would perceive that, you know, the inherent quality in the lawyer and in what you do as well, we have terms, and companies and people have time when you have to react. You cannot postpone that. That means that you have to be there. And I feel that I've been able to be there for PAYSTRAX all the time when it is required. So maybe that should be the standard to
But
check.
what else keeping you with us? Because from my perspective, from my side, the reputation of the company, I think, is the major thing when I'm choosing for which company I can work. What about you?
Absolutely. Imagine working for somebody you don't admire or you don't like or you don't want to be associated with. You know,
So it's like, oh, well.
that's nightmare. You know, that's a nightmare, and it doesn't help whether it's a company, but it's just who you are staying to. From what you started, you know, it's about service. It's about the core. It's not about the formalities. So, you know, so I absolutely concur with you. I agree that PAYSTRAX and especially the people here are very admirable. I enjoy big time being of service to them, to crack a joke or two with them, or to do some challenging stuff, which are never in short supply here. But Gintarė, I understand you. It's like being associated with the company. How do you feel working in PAYSTRAX?
I'm still here.
Yes, but being, is it a feeling, Yeah, of course, that's objective. How what's, do you like here? Do you find joy? Do you find like, does your compliance job that you do exhaust your patience, for instance?
Well, I have to admit that, I have quite a lot of responsibilities to be the chief compliance officer and, to have it, to oversee the whole group.
Yes.
It's just like, it's quite a lot of responsibilities on the shoulders. But still, I like to work at PAYSTRAX, and I like values of the company. People. I mean, people, it's a very important thing because you're working every day. For instance, compliance should work together with business. You should cooperate with business. Otherwise, you will end up only as a consultancy. You're not, cooperating with business, and you're not helping and not advising. So you're just a simple consultancy firm. That's it. So
that's a wise words spoken by you, and I find those very compelling, and I agree. It's like compliance and business. It's not an easy balance to strike, and there are various sayings that and there are various securities in place to make sure that compliance is not incentivized by the business. But business without compliance is also not viable.
Exactly.
Not viable. What maybe? What do you find? We obviously cooperate a lot in working with PAYSTRAX, with the merchants, What are the points of cooperation that you find useful?
Cooperation between compliance and legal?
Yes.
As I said, compliance and legal regulations are very closely related.
Yes.
Because you have to comply with. So we are in the same, boat.
Yes.
For instance, our project, which was really a big one, the acquisition of Nochex UK company. So we worked together almost every day on Nochex project. So I was happy to even use my skills in due diligence matters. And, it's a good thing that I can use my, legal experience and, of course, apply my compliance experience at the same time, and to work with you when we are reviewing all the documents, because sometimes it could feel that, maybe it's not a compliance function, but still, I care. This is the main thing. I care. So even though some topics could be not my compliance function related, but I still care, and we were having discussions about employment and so on, all the topics.
Yeah, portfolios,
Correct.
policies. How they do? Maybe I also agree. Looks like this interview is a lot about agreeing. I also admire and thank you. It was great pleasure working on the Nochex transaction together, and I would also return to the point where we mentioned in the beginning, or I mentioned, that each of us have our limits to our competence, and being aware of those, and recognizing others' competence. I think that's easier said than done. But I think that this cooperation was pretty smooth. That's maybe this we have, and I think we have a very good result with Nochex and the acquisition, how it was done, how different parts eventually came together to the single agreement. Hopefully, we'll never be required to read it, and we can just live with that. Or think about future and how to integrate and do that. But yeah, looks like that. That it's just sometimes I think that there is no single person in PAYSTRAX that holds all the knowledge required to do the business. There is this collective knowledge that rests in the heads of our colleagues, and being ignorant of that, it's just like a clear recipe for failure, and that's why you need to cooperate. That's why you need to hear. And what I like a lot in working with you, especially when there are like some merchant questions, compliance have very very strong point of view, very clear perspective, what needs to be adhered, what needs to be done. That although, as you said, business is important, but companies' interests have to be taken at the core, and the how to comply, and especially the highly regulated institutions. They are regulated not for no reason, but because of a lot of reasons. So what I value a lot is that I can almost always get a different point of view on the topic, and maybe that's curious to discover how the views change, and what is to be learned there, how to apply that for business, how we can make compatible decisions. That looks like a huge treasure that PAYSTRAX have with the compliance. Yes.
Well, thank you, Vytautai. I just I was like sitting and enjoying what you were saying. That's what
it's good, maybe it's if we come back briefly to the topic, what when we talk, what makes you like working for PAYSTRAX, maybe there is like some traits, some aspects to the human behavior that you notice that say that people like here. So maybe admiring, cracking a joke, saying praise when it's due, and when it's time, saying critics openly because you care, maybe exercising patience, because lots of challenges in business requires patience, although you want quick results, but without patience, and general decency, kindness to each other. Maybe these are the topics that are quite widespread, I would say, in PAYSTRAX, and forms the culture and core of company, which that shows that people like working here. Yeah, so but I would still like to come back to the topic we're jumping today a bit, but looks like there's no script, and that's why we're doing that. You mentioned about people background working for compliance. What skills do you think are important for people when you choose the team members you work with?
I would say, different skills for different roles.
Yes.
I like to see, the strengths in people and their specific what kind of strengths they have, and to use it in the best way. Of course, I like professionalism in a broad way, meaning that professional to be professional from your knowledge, and to be professional how you are acting, how you are communicating with the others, how you're staying calm in any situation, because we might have quite a lot of stressful situations.
Yes.
So just to keep your cold mind, this is the main thing. Of course, they have to be hard workers.
Yeah.
They have to be. It's just like you cannot without it. So yeah, I think I think the main things. I just named it. And what about you?
What usually I look for the people who I would like to work with. So it's I usually look for care, because it's hard to fake it, and care in what you do, how you do, and I think this correlates with what you say about hard working, because on the other side, I may sound maybe use some already good, well-spoken words about what I look for, but I look for three things mainly. It's like energy. The people have to be able to work and
Hard.
hard. Yeah, not be afraid of hard work. I think sometimes a capacity to get attention to the tasks that you don't like, because the work does not comprise of only things you like, but you have to have this internal energy to be able to pay attention to things you don't like. I think that's a secret path to the top. I also look for integrity. Imagine somebody working for you without integrity and with a lot of energy. That may end up really badly pretty soon and fast. And of course, intelligence. That's I think, usually cracking a joke where the people understand the joke. That's a good thing to check or to. But on the other side, it's ultimately you choose people that fit you. It's great if you can find people that are smarter than you, and that's, I think, important in these days when your competence is like limited. You have to do that, otherwise you're gonna you're not a sole player anymore. You have to make sure that the team excels. So yeah, these are the main aspects. And of course, when I hire, I always ask what is the last book the person read about.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I get some very strange answers from time to time.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, but maybe books can be a topic for another interview.
Yeah. Yes. So thank you, Vytautai,
Thank you, Gintarė.
for a very good conversation and very good topics. And thanks to our audience for watching us, and see you in our next podcasts.